All right, you guys, so the monolith is in, and you can see on this side, this is the side of, this is kind of the print quality that you get, which is really, really nice. And I have some 120 grit sandpaper, and a little bit of sandpaper, 120 grit. You can see that those lines are starting to go away. So this side has been hit with 120 grit. This side has not been hit at all. So I'm going to continue sanding with 120 grit, and I'm going to use filler primer, and we'll get this primed up, and we will begin the painting. So let's sand this last side down. We'll see how it looks. All right, so here's the monolith after its first primer coat, and I've also knocked that down with 120 and 220 grit sandpaper. Going to cover another coat. You can see there's a few imperfections still, but this is definitely coming along pretty good. And I think we'll be ready to do some more sanding and painting here in a few hours. Here's a look after we got the 220 grit sandpaper, and you can see it's looking really good. I'm going to go in now with 320, and we'll see how it looks. All right, here we are after 320 grit. Starting to do some wet sanding, and you can see it's really coming along right now. We are after 1,000 grit. We did 600, then 1,000, and whew, that is a rough thing to do, but I'm very happy with this. This is the, nope, that's the undone side, so that's what everything looked like when we started, and this is what it looks like currently. So, very happy with that. I'm going to let this dry off, clean it off, and then we'll begin painting it black. Alright guys, so a few days have passed since the last clip that I shot, and you can see here I have the monolith on the base, and it is black. I hit it with Rust-Oleum High Heat Black, which is for restoring grills, and I got a kind of interesting effect. When I've used this in the past, I feel like it was more satin, and I don't know if that's because most of the things that I've used it on were, like restoring actual metal, but it came out very matte, which is, of course, what we're looking for. And I know I mentioned in the last video I'm still working on it, but the mounting solution to mount it to the base, I just have a few drops of hot glue holding it to this base, and I'll save that for part 3. This is officially prototype monolith. Decided to do a run of 2 of these, one for myself, which will be, not this one, and one for a buddy. So I guess in total I'm making 3 of them. And, I'm definitely really happy with how this turned out. I think the size is really nice. Initially when I was doing some of my math, I thought to maybe make it 12 inches tall and adjust all the measurements to that, but you can see it fits really nicely in this cube that I have here, and I really don't think the size is that bad. I do plan on getting the Mafex Dave Bowman, and perhaps making a diorama with that, and that might be a part 4 video in the future. But let me show you, let me just put the camera down. Let me show you what a 6-inch scale figure looks like, and I'll let you guys take a look at this base. Okay, so here is, and I think this figure is a bit larger than 6 inches, but let's scoot this over just a little bit. But that is a 6-inch scale figure, and again I think this might be 7 inches, next to the 9-inch monolith. And I know this scale is not perfect because
in 1/12 scale, the monolith would be a full foot tall. But I really don't think it's bad, you know? I really don't think it's bad at all. And the presence that this thing gives off is very eerie. And I'm really glad. I know Dean mentioned on the podcast potentially doing like a ruler or making it out of wood. But I am glad that we decided to 3D print it, because I don't think I would have been able to make it as exact, obviously, but it just, because it's so precise, I think it really adds to the effect that we're going for. On this one, like I mentioned on the podcast, I really did kind of screw this one up. The backside is far worse than the front side. I had kind of got ahead of myself and saw some issues in some of the finishing once I had painted it black for the first time. And I went back and added more filler primer and then went to sand that off, and I hadn't waited the full 2 hours. And because of that, the filler was kind of tacky and it gummed up pretty bad on the sanding block that I was using. And when I brought out the orbital sander, it cut a nice gash in the monolith, which actually fixed pretty well with more filler and some drywall compound. It actually fixed it really nicely. But it is a thing. And so, when I do this again for part 3 with the monoliths that we're making, I'm going to rely on the orbital sander less and do more hand sanding, because I think I kind of got carried away with it during this process. But the print from Watto's Scrapyard was really, really nice. It was a fantastic print, and there really wasn't that much finishing to do. It was mostly just sanding. But yeah, that's the monolith, and I hope you like it. Like I said, we're doing I guess in total, potentially I could have 4 total monoliths, but this is the prototype. And then I ordered 3 more from Watto's Scrapyard in the hopes that I can end up with 2 finished monoliths. But yeah, I'll show you guys what the little, I guess, plaque that's going to come with the 2 that I make is going to look like. But yeah, the order period is closed, and like I said, I got an order from myself and an order from Dean, so it'll just be 0, 0, 0, 1, and 0, 2. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for part 3 once we make the final version of the monoliths. I'd like to see if Dean wants to come by and potentially do like a 1-day build style video where we build and paint the monoliths and make our bases. I think that would be pretty cool. So stay tuned for that, and thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this part 2 of the joy of hobbying, making the monolith. Thanks, guys.